level. This is why.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Baseball Recruiting Deep Dive Podcast. Today we're joined by Josh McDonald, the current pitching coach and recruiting coordinator at University of Connecticut, or UConn. Josh, in his coaching career, spent 2 years at Long Island, Brooklyn, and has been at UConn for 14 seasons. He was the 2022 D1Baseball.com Assistant Coach of the Year. The greatest award an assistant coach can win. Josh, thanks for joining us, man.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a good plug. Yeah. So Mac, how's the summer started off for you so far? Just kind of balancing the college world and the high school kids.
Yeah, I think most guys are probably in a similar boat. I feel like the beginning of the summer is kind of a hectic, unsettling time because the portal's open for a pretty long time. I don't know how it is in other sports, but our season ended after our conference tournament. We did not make the NCAA tournament this year, which was the first for a while. But so our off season started earlier than it has been, and it just kind of felt like you're almost like it's just almost like doom's going to hit every single day. You're just kind of holding your breath, and your exit meetings are a little unsettling just because I don't know. I'm sure I'm with some other guys. You feel like maybe you can't be as honest as possible with some of these guys because they're guys that you still want to coach and have in your program. And you think maybe if you tiptoe a little bit too far, you get a little too close to the water. You might go in. So the first part of the summer I think is really unsettling, and you have to go into speed dating mode. Like you have to, okay, we're losing X, Y, and Z, from your team, and you have to go and find them. You have to go portal shopping, and you have to get on the phone, and you don't have as much time as you do when you're looking at a high school kid to evaluate.
Yep.
So I don't know. I don't think anybody likes it. I have not met one college coach, doesn't matter what level they are at, doesn't matter. I've talked to guys who are going to Omaha and the SEC, they hate it. I've talked to D3 guys that are winning national championships, they hate it. The junior college guys hate it. Everybody seems to hate it. So I don't know how it gets better, but the first part of the summer, we kind of got through the portal hell, as most guys call it, and now going, it was refreshing this past week, to get back watching high school guys and to see guys and over multiple days and start to have that, like that's the root of all this. I think for a lot of guys my age, who came up, I'm now, the gray hair will let you know I'm getting older. But that's kind of how you did it. You did it. You watch guys, over days and weeks, and you started to really evaluate. With a lot of these portal kids, you don't have to do that. You could just, here's their name, here's their synergy, here's what they did. I like to talk to coaches in their league if they think that the kid tended to destroy them or beat them. That was probably enough for me to kind of, get a sign off on them. But the high school kid, you still have to, you want your own evaluation for it. So, that's how the summer is going. But I am happy that we're through one last hurdle. We got the nice fun draft hurdle.
Yeah.
Because why not have the draft in the middle of July? That helps out everybody. And but no, it's been going fine.
It seems like, Mac, that
Go ahead, Kyle.
like what you said, I mean, every coach, no one is like, yay, the portal season's coming. I can't wait. It's going to be a blast. We've asked this of everybody, has the portal becoming a main thing, has that made you pickier when looking at high school players? Like, are those guys realistically being judged against the 21, 22 kid who's put up numbers for 3 years in college?
No doubt, and I think the teams that are going to be the most successful are teams that have just really good plans on how they want to navigate this. So UConn were in kind of a weird setting because we're not a Power 4 school, but we have Power 4 resources, Power 4 facilities, and we play a national schedule. So, you know, for us, like, I make the joke, everybody's a junior college now. If
Yeah.
you're not, if you're not, the guys that end up in Omaha every other year or so, then you're probably a junior college. And even some of those schools, they worry about their guys, but you're probably a junior college. So it's that part's a little unsettling, but in terms of the high school guy, I don't want to cut kids. And I think that if you asked most college coaches, we do not want to cut kids. It's a terrible day. It's a really, like you never feel good about it. Even if it's
Yep.
a guy that doesn't fit your culture, you don't feel good about it because you feel like maybe you set the kid up for failure when you brought him in. So if I'm going to do that with the high school guys, the way I've looked at it, if I'm going to go watch a high school guy now, and I saw a guy this past week. I saw a guy. He was a 6'4" pitcher. He was 82 to 85. Had a clean arm. He was a 2026. He had an okay breaking ball. Wasn't great at holding on runners. And in years past, I would be like, yeah, let's get this kid. Give me 2 years with him, and then by the
Yep.
time he's 2021, he's going to be able to help us because you needed to fill out your roster still. Like
Sure.
you need to fill it out with guys that were going to get better down the line, and had chances to be pros. But you just we weren't good enough to get 14 pros,
Yeah.
a year out of high school. So you had to kind of do that. Well, now my new thing with a high school guy is that I don't want to cut them. I need them to be so good when they walk in that they can immediately, if they're not playing, they can push right away. They can feel like they're going to play because the pro is a double-edged sword. You can go get a kid like the kid I just mentioned and say, hey, he's not ready, but I'll work with him. I know he will get there eventually. That kid's not going to want to wait.
Yep.
He's going to be in there. You recruited me. You said I was great. You didn't play me. I'm out of here. The other problem is you're going to get a kid and you play him every day. He still might be out of here, but I'd rather have that. I'd rather have the kid that can come in and play every day or fight to play every day, than the other way. So yeah, when it comes to the high school guys, I'm really looking to find guys that are much more ready. And the good thing is that at least with scholarship increases, NIL, and the shrinkage of the roster, it does make it a little bit easier for those guys, I think, because you instead of having 50 guys in a fall, we're down to 42 in this fall. So
Yep.
there's less guys to go up against too. You can't just bring in so many guys and then just let them, fight for it. You're going to have to really be a little bit more strategic. What I think is going to be really interesting are the teams, maybe below our level slightly, some of the smaller mid majors that say, we're going to get the best freshmen. We're going to get the best freshmen. We're going to develop. And if they end up going to ACC, SEC schools, fine. But we're going to have, all these really good freshmen and sophomores on our team. And we're going to be totally okay with them leaving to get big NIL deals come their junior year. I think that would be, if I were to do it, if I were to at one of those schools, that's probably how I would want to do it. I would want to get a lot of these guys that people are on the fence about, or some of the bigger schools don't want to take the chance on and just go and develop them. And, I've always said, like, you never know, like one of those kids gets a girlfriend or one of those kids that loves your school and he doesn't want to leave. And, you end up getting a couple, top 10 round draft picks that hang around those schools.
Yep.
That's going to happen. But these guys are just fighting it and mad about it. It's like, that
Yeah.
Pandora's box has been opening, not closing it. So,
Yeah. Now, through the year, when you guys are kind of talking about and evaluating what your needs are for the next year or the 2026 high school class, how frequently are you guys in conversation about your current roster versus, hey, we gotta find a back end bullpen arm next year ASAP? How frequent are those conversations?
I think you kind of go through, like you go through just a few different like calendars. So once the draft ends, you pretty much know what you have coming in. So you have that pre-fall. Okay, this is what we're gonna have. You're also gonna have the draft momentum guys for the following year. So if one of your guys is away at summer ball and you start showing 95, 96, and that's going to be a possibility. Maybe a guy that you're bringing in is going to be pretty good. So you could start to have a little idea as the fall starts. The fall will start. You'll see what you have. I tend to go off and do a few junior college showcases, and you kind of go out there with some, all right, here's some needs that I'm pretty sure we're going to have. Typically, I get an arm or two out of that just because, I mean, that's, I can't remember a year where I don't probably need additional pitching. Then what you'll end up having is you'll go through your fall, and similar things. You go through the fall, and then when the spring arrives is when you start to either by the draft or by, hey, this, we're lacking this, we're lacking that. We really need to get these things. Or, it's the other, like, this kid's probably transferring on us. So we got to at least be prepared for, when, so and so leaves. So it's interesting. It's not like it was in years past. You got to kind of have to be ready at different parts of the year to add to your roster. And I think the thing that's again, is I don't like it, but use the whispers that you hear throughout the year about guys that especially like in here, like from New England, from Connecticut, that may have gone to a lower school or a D2 school, and they're like, hey, so and so wants to join, and that's like, okay, thank you. I gotta find a way to be St. John's. I mean that. Like, I am so bad with that, but thanks. But let me know if the kid hits the portal. Let me know, because I'm not ready for that. So
Yeah, I was going to add to that. So you guys have obviously had success with the New England Division III kids, with like your Wheatons, Endicott, Tufts, for example. How much different is that evaluation for you versus a lower Division I kid that has had success? Like, is it just black and white for you? He's a good player, putting up college numbers, and that's it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and they play summer ball around here. So the good thing is that with the summer leagues around here, those guys are playing, with our guys. Those guys are playing against D1 players. And, depending on where you are in the country, right? So if you're down in Florida, I don't know anything about D3s in Florida. I don't even know if they have them. I don't know. But I'm assuming that, if you look at, Central Florida, I haven't seen their roster. But I bet if people listening went onto their roster, you're going to see a bunch of kids from smaller D1 schools in Florida. You're going to see a bunch of kids from junior colleges in Florida, and you're going to see a bunch of kids potentially from the D2s in Florida. They have some good D2 teams, Tampa, Rollins, things like that. Well, what do I know about New England? I know that D3 baseball is really good in New England. I know that there are some good D2 schools, especially the ones in New Hampshire and such. But D3 baseball, we don't have junior college baseball out here.
Yep.
And what we do is very small. So, that has to be an area that we know of. And that, when a kid that we may like goes to a place like Wheaton and he's being coached by Coach Podbelski, who's one of the best coaches in the country, we know that he's probably going to be pretty good. When we have guys who are, being coached by, Eric Sorellas of the world and the Brian Haleys of the world, we know that they're at least being coached really well. So, because of that, when they come in, the transition's very easy. Now, do they have to be the best on those teams? Yeah. I don't, but again, it's like anything else. We've done it once, it worked out. It's probably going to work out a second time and a third time. And then you look across New England. Well, hey, URI had a couple good D3 players this year. BC had a couple good, Northeastern had a couple of good D3 players. So, it's like anything else. It's like you sit there and you're like, it's not rocket science, guys. Like, guys who are pitching really well in the NECBL and pitching, really well in college. Like, I don't know. I'm assuming when you go play Salve, it's one of the better hitting teams. I'm assuming that they're not that much worse than some of the teams that we go up against. In fact, they're probably better than them. So, I don't know. I threw that ego out a real long time ago. When I started getting junior college players from California. You go see them. These guys could play for us right now. So I don't think the level really means anything.
Yeah.
Mac, as the pitching coach, what's the when you're evaluating a pitcher, let's just say high school guy, because obviously with the portal, it's you're looking for a guy that's had success and put up numbers, and then kind of the stuff has to be a certain thing. But for a high school player, what are the kind of key points you're looking at when deciding if this is a guy who you want to recruit or not?
Yeah, it's funny because I would have said it probably a little different answer last year than this year. I've been a little bit more, again, because I can be, right. Like, I'm not going to take as many. When I used to have to get 6 or 7 high school guys, it would be all right. I want an athletic kid with a good arm, with a good secondary pitch that looks like he can repeat it, and looks like I love guys with what they call fast arms. I love guys with whips. I hate guys that push the baseball.
Yep.
And so there's just that's just a preference thing. I usually think those guys, as they get bigger and stronger, because their arm is so fast, they tend to throw harder. So that was kind of how I did it. Now I would say the one thing that I'm looking for is, when I go watch them, the efficiency of their outings. A lot of guys now, like, they don't send you anymore. Like, when you used to recruit a high school kid 10 years ago, hey, I was first team all state. I went
Yep.
7-1. I struck out 68 guys in 48 innings. And they're giving you real accolades. Now they don't send you any of those things.
TrackMan data, that's it.
It is top at 92.8, spin rate of this, inverted break, and you're just, it's just, I'm not saying that's garbage, but then
Sure.
you have to go and see, like, hey, does this talent work?
Yep.
And when we have to go watch guys do it, we have to watch them in some watered down wood bat tournament where the outfielder's sitting 220 feet away in center field. That's not
Yep.
reality of what they
Yep.
jump into.
Yeah.
So since that's not reality, since what they're going to be jumping into, instead of a lake, would be like shark infested waters when they come to college, since that's what they're jumping
It's
into.
chum in the water, just
Yeah. So what I want to see, though, is like, okay, how efficient are you, though?
yeah.
Like, are you struggling to get through this? Is your stuff, I just heard a great quote from a coach the other day about Pete Matthews, now the pitching coach for the Twins, who I know. He's like, Pete always had a great line. His line was, if you throw 3 balls in high school, you're walking guys in college. I was like, oh my God, I never. That's a
Wow.
great way. That's a great way of putting it. So now when I go watch these guys, it's like, how efficient are your innings? How quickly are you able to get the outs? Like, I saw a kid the other day that Jeff saw, and he really liked his breaking ball, so he thought I'd like him. He didn't really throw his breaking ball, but he got through 3 innings, that's all they're going to throw, because you can't throw a 4th inning, or your shoulder's going to flow out. But in his 3 innings, he got through 9 batters, 9 up, 9 down, 32 pitches. And to me, that was huge.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dylan.
Phone call.
Oh, no. Sorry, I don't know what happened. My bad.
You're good. You're back.
Yeah.
I think one thing in the evaluation process that for you that might be challenging is in summer baseball now. Like, I think everybody knows when you're playing a UConn team, they're going to come at you. They're going to compete. They're going to be on the top step of the dugout. And with all these watered down tournaments and everything, I have to imagine that can be pretty challenging when you're going out to an 8 a.m. wood bat game in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, but I know it's, the fact that I only have to get 6 to 7 of these guys, it makes it easier for me, because it's all right. Like, give me a reason not to like you. Just give me a reason not to like you, and I can keep on moving. I don't need to get many of them. So, I know you've heard me say it, but like a guy who like pimps a home run, I'm like, yeah, I don't got time for that guy. I don't got time for that guy. Oh, a guy who's not going to run up the pop. I have seen this. I think I was telling you this the other day. I've seen guys that I've really liked who don't run out the pop up, and I have to make like I don't see it, because if I wrote it, like, I couldn't. I couldn't send our head guy to go see him.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because that's a big thing, man. Like, that is something that that has to be ingrained. So if the kid is super duper talented, I can kind of look past some of these things. But yeah, like, that's something that we do desperately try to find. We try to find guys who, just really want to play a certain way. They really want to, they play hard. And because of that, They're going to practice hard. They're going to do things the right way. Because we are, it's funny, like, when you see, I'm a loudmouth and Desi's a loudmouth, but Jim and Jeff are not, but they are super intense. So like, I don't think people really understand like how intense our dugout is. Like
Yeah.
you are, if you don't run out a home run and you stare at it, you're going to get yelled at by Des by the time you get to first. Coach won't say anything. Jim will probably say something. I'm going to be barking at you because now somebody's going to get hit on our team if the other kid took offense to it. And then in the post game huddle, coaches and bring it like there's just like you just get it from so many different
Yeah.
guys that we just need guys to be a certain way. So yeah, I think again from the high school standpoint, when I go see these tournaments, is like, yeah, I want to see that it means something to you.
Yeah.
I want to see you, I want to see you, play really hard in these tournaments that don't mean anything because, when you get up here, every practice means something.
Mac, I want to stay on this because it's just, I think this is the part of recruiting that most kids just never get told about how, the red flags when you're out watching a guy and you're like, nope,
Mhm.
like, I don't care how good he is. This guy
Yeah.
cannot be a part of our culture. So could you expand just a little bit more on kind of what those things are for you guys and why those are red flags for you and guys, reasons you don't want them involved in your dugout?
Yeah. Okay. So a few things. The first thing I want to say is that I've almost never seen a kid that has a red flag, and I'll mention that has a red flag where it does not show up when he gets to your school.
Yeah.
So the kid sucks in school, and you say, hey, this kid's great. He's not very good, but he's really talented. It's going to show up at some point. Now, it either shows up because maybe he just really isn't a really great academic student. Maybe he's a lazy academic student, but whatever that is, that will show up. Hey, the kid got in trouble a few times in high school. The kid's getting in trouble a few times for you. Like there's just, at this point when you're 16 to 18 years old, you could certainly change, but you are who you are. In terms of a baseball player, like red flag, I told you the first one, like if you can't run out a ground ball, if you can't do those things, like I don't have time for it. If you are a guy who, you're a little bit overly flashy, and I don't know, like you're hitting second base, and you're doing some stupid double celebration before the ball comes in.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of thing. Like, yeah, I don't have time for that. If you're a guy who gets to first base and you got to put 2 oven mitts on before you take your lead and you miss the first pitch, like these are all things that, yeah, I'm watching. I'm telling you, I go to the futures game, and it's like I just cross it off. Guys that are bitching at the umpire, in the futures game. It's like I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
Like this is somebody who, it's not even so much that we can't change. It's just the amount of work that would go into it to change them, or the amount of resistance that would happen from it. And again, I think some of this will go back to the portal, is like, if I have to kind of beat up a way a guy plays just so I can get the best out of him for us, the odds of him staying with us is going to be super duper low.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing. There's a lot of programs out there, man, where they don't care. Hey, you want to pimp home runs? You want to, as long as you're playing well, they don't.
That's a lot of them, right? That's
There's
like,
a lot.
that's a lot of them.
Yeah. I mean, there are teams that do music videos for their Instagram during the season.
Yeah.
I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. You sweep a weekend, you got 24 games left.
Yeah.
So like for us, like we actually, our new thing is so we do our stupid media day, like right before the season, right? They bring all the stupid photography in, the fans blowing on them, and they ask stupid questions like you'd ask like a 7th grade girl, like who's the hottest one in class, and then they get their stupid answer, right? And coach always goes, the kid that likes that the most is never the kid that drives and runs for us.
That's right.
So like
100%.
we like make notes, like it's it's like on cue. Like that kid probably won't
Who's
last.
enjoying this a little too
Yeah.
much? Like,
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I forgot which coach we had on recently, but somebody had explained it in the sense of you spend more time around these kids than you do with your own family during the season, and you want to be around an enjoyable group of kids and coaches, and it just goes. I mean, it goes such a long way
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, you've been with the same staff at this point for 14 years now.
Yeah,
Is that
I know.
right? Everybody's been there.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it's so. I feel like it's just so rare in college baseball.
Yeah.
Like, I guess speak on the culture that Penders has created and you guys as a group have created.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of two ways. Like the first thing is that we have had at least not so much all of it, but we've had chances to leave, and every time we have
Mhm.
a chance to leave, the administration here really values what we do, and they want us to stay here. So that has made it much easier.
that's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Especially from when I started here with no benefits. I mean, so like it's so don't get me wrong, like that's probably been the biggest thing. But in terms of culture, it's just we're all very different. Like I said, Jeff, Des, myself, and Jim. We're very different personalities, but we're not different in terms of what we refuse to compromise on. There's a way we expect this to work. There's a way that we expect this to look. And I think because we all played here, because we all went here, there is a sense of pride there that's really high. That if we're going to win, we're going to win the right way. If we're going to lose, we're going to lose the right way. It's going to look and feel and smell a certain way to be at UConn. So in terms of how are we able to do it is, I just think it's, like I said, we are at this point. I mean, we are family at this point. It's we're able to fight with each other. We're able to say what we want with each other. We're able to. I mean, I would love to know how many guys you bring on here where I can call the head coach right out. I'd be like, dude, what were you thinking? And on the flip side, like he could do the same thing too. I can recruit a kid and he can come in and Coach Penn will be like, this kid, he won't work for us. And a lot of guys will get really offended by that.
Yep.
For me, it's like, yeah, I missed this, and this on that kid. My bad. Like, it's not like I'm going home like, oh, he's lost faith in me. It's just, we really do have that sort of straightforwardness with each other that we can do things like that.
Yeah. Mac, so talk about, I think what a lot of guys don't realize, especially now with like you're talking about how much smaller a number of freshmen you are recruiting every year, or high school kids that will be freshmen. The most important part of the year for those guys is that freshman fall where they come in and they got to kind of show you what they can do. So just speak to how important that fall is for a freshman to earn playing time, or like, you said, Jim will tell you like, this guy's not going to work.
Yeah. So, you have, so for the kids listening, at least for us, you have about 8 weeks. You have about 2 weeks where we do individual work with you, and then about 6 weeks where we scrimmage. And then obviously we do some stuff afterwards. But
Yep.
in terms of getting getting off on the right foot, a good impression, you have about 8 weeks to do it. And we're not expecting guys to come in and just like, oh yeah, this kid's now our 3 batter. Because if that's the case, then we're terrible coaches too. You know what I mean? Like, I'm hoping that the freshman that we developed last year can be the 3 batter. Like, we don't need that, but we do need. I've said this to a lot of kids recently. Like, when we do a showcase, or when I go to a showcase, kids are out there trying to show us what they can do, right? They're diving, they're throwing rockets across the infield, they're running 60s as hard as they can. And then when they get here, the amount of times where they'll flip a ball to first, or they're not knocking the ball down, it's like, you want to impress me every day. Every single day you are at practice, what your job should be is, I want to impress the coaching staff. Now, you can do that in a variety of ways. You can do that by making plays is the easiest. You can do that by getting hits, striking. Like, that's the easiest way of doing performing. But you can also do it with your process, right? Like, hey, you popped up, you ran the ball out really hard.
Yep.
Hey, you know what? With a man at second base, with 2 outs, you found a way just to knock the ball down. You didn't make the play, but you kept the ball in the infield, which gave us another chance. Hey, you gave up a home run and went 5,000 feet for the first time in your life, and then you threw a strike next pitch. Like, there are other things that you can do. Hey, you're always early. Hey, your uniform's always the right way.
Yep.
Hey, you never forget your equipment. Like, I know, like, these are like little things, but let me tell you, you show up and the catcher, like, hey, oh, this is the glove that's broke. How pissed I get at that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, what do you mean this is your bad glove?
Yeah.
How did you come out to practice with the glove that you don't like to use? Or why are you practicing with a glove that's not broken yet? Like, we always get that in the wintertime when all their gloves come in, and then we can't get through a normal infield outfield. It's like, this is not the time to break in the glove.
Yeah.
You gotta go do that on your own. So these are just little things. And for those freshmen, you want 8 weeks where all we're doing is going, hey, like, if John came in, hey, that Murphy, he's pretty good.
Yep.
Hey, he's pretty good. Hey, you think he'll play short? I don't know, but let's see and maybe he can't play short because we have, Rispoli there this year. Hey, you think he can play left? Because I love his at bats. You want those things. You want to be giving us reasons to be talking about you instead of, hey, man, Murphy, oof. Man, he went 0 for 3 yesterday. Do you see his BP today? Oh,
Yeah, and he's showing up 5 minutes before practice.
yeah,
Right?
or like, hey,
Yeah.
man, he is hey, rocket a second, the kid caught it. He's been hanging his head, the rest of the day. Like, these are all things that you're looking at,
Yep.
all the time. So, I just want guys, and I say it to all the pitchers, prior to fall, like, give me a reason to get excited that you're on the mound. And you do. There are certain guys where you'd be like, coach will come out, hey, who's throwing live today? Smith, Johnson, and Everett. Ooh, Everett was really good last time. Ooh, all right, nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
And that's a real conversation that will be had.
Yeah, and where would you say you see the freshmen struggle the most, when they get there in that first 8 weeks? Is it physically? Is it on the field? Academically?
I think the game is just so fast. I think the game is just really, really, really fast. I think things spin out of control really quickly for them. So if a kid strikes out on breaking balls and all the upperclassmen see they can't hit breaking balls, you just start spinning them to death. And instead of striking out once or twice, they're striking out 8 times in a week, and they can't get out of it.
Yeah.
Guys we'll start getting throwing errors because of how fast the guys are running down the line. Obviously with pitchers holding on runners. I usually don't think that's their fault because if I'm recruiting you in high school, you're probably pretty good. And you just don't have a lot of base runners on.
Yeah.
And we like to recruit a lot of speed on our team. So if the guy's getting on base, we want to run. And we run a lot more in the fall too. Probably more reckless just so guys get used to stealing and hitting breaks and realizing what they can and cannot do. So if you can't stop it, it's just a floodgate. So I think it's just more game speed, baseball IQ wise. Desi is relentless in terms of where you should be on relays and cuts. And, after the first week or two, we just don't sugarcoat it. Like, you're going to be getting yelled at. You're going to be getting, hey, where are you on this? Hey, why are we not back picking? Hey, why are you not seeing these things? So I think for some of those guys, it's just how fast and demanding the game is, on the field and from what we're going to be asking of them.
Yeah, Mac, like, I think one thing that's important for families to understand is I think one of the things you brought up, which is the guy who lines out, crushes a ball, and he's upset. And because he thinks in his mind, well, all the coaches saw is I got out. But in reality, you're like, man, he did everything he could do. He crushed it. He should be excited and be, happy with the result, even though he didn't get a hit. So speak to just like, you guys aren't just evaluating the box score. You're
Right.
evaluating the quality of the at bat, the quality of the contact, and vice versa on the pitching side.
We had a kid, Willie on, that plays for us from 2016, I believe. 2015, 2017. And he did not hit well his freshman fall at all. I think he batted like 180 on the fall. But we played him at short, we played him at second, played him at third, and he made a lot of plays. And anybody that watched Willie, he's diving head first. Like, it's infectious, right? Like, he
Yeah.
really likes playing. But we didn't think he was going to be able to play for us his freshman year. And then when we came back in the winter, he was hitting and he was getting knocks. And one of the things that we kept saying to each other as a staff was, so-and-so better play well, because the second we put Willie in, he's not going to come out.
Yeah.
And it's not even so much because we thought he was going to perform. It was just that we're going to want to see that. Like,
Yeah.
we're just, no batting gloves, all this stuff. And sure enough, his first start was at William and Mary. Finally gets his first start. I think that was maybe 13th or 14th game of the year. Second bat home run, boom, bomb. And that was it. He never started
He ain't coming out.
Yeah.
He never started again. He never started again because he did so many other things on the field that we like. So that's kind of the thing. There's a lot of ways that you can affect the baseball game. You're not always going to get hits. You're going to make an error every now and then. It's, can you, the day that you make an error, can you drive a runner in next time up? Hey, the time that you don't, maybe you hit a fielder's choice, you don't get a hit. Are you stealing second base? Are you getting a dirt ball read? Those sorts of things. That's what we're looking for. With our guys is, can you affect the game, when you're playing? And it's a lot more than just your batting average, a lot more than just, if you're punching guys out, we want guys that can affect the game, when they're playing.
Yeah. How how important is it for you when evaluating kids, just looking at what type of program they come from in terms of winning? Like, are you guys a little bit more drawn towards the high school kid that's going to the state championship 3 years in a row?
I mean, it makes it, yeah. I mean, we want winners for sure. We want guys that care about winning. Sometimes it's not their fault. You get kids that for whatever reason they're not on a really strong high school team, or but we want it to. I guess we want it to matter to them. We like guys that play multiple sports too.
Yep.
We think that's really important. We think some guys just get burnt out, so we love a kid that is a 1,000-point scorer in basketball, or an all-state, tight end, like those things. We love all that. But yeah, winning. Yeah, winning's just so important. We want guys to like winning. I don't think you have to be, though, on the Canes. I don't think that has to be a
Yeah.
thing. I don't think you have to play for Marucci Elite. I mean, some of our best guys have been Legion guys still.
Yeah.
To me, that stuff's fugazi. That's for the Instagram and for guys to brag about how they know guys on other teams. That stuff doesn't mean anything to
Yeah.
us at all. But in terms of, do I want guys that are do I want guys that are all state performers and winning performers and playing state championship games? Absolutely. We had a kid this year, and this is something that you talk about what a coach likes to hear. We had a kid win the Gatorade Player of the Year this year. And it's a great honor. I think that's really, and he won it, and we reached out to him and we said, "Hey, congrats, you won the Gatorade Player of the Year." And he goes, "Thanks, coach." And he won it on a day where he got eliminated from the state tournament. He goes, "Thanks, coach. I just, I'm really still upset that we lost our tournament." And I was like, whoa.
Green
That's
flag.
Yeah.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Again, it was just, and I don't think he was just saying it to earn brownie. I think he meant, again, I remember how I felt my senior year, and I was going to be drafted a week later, and I was sick to my stomach, man. I was depressed. It was my last high school game with all my buddies, and we thought we were going to win another state title. We went the year before. It hurts, and it still hurts. We still talk about it when I see those guys. We talk about the game that we lost. We know how it ended. 3-2 pitch. Kid swung the pitch over his head. Andy Heidick, if you're listening, we're still mad at you. We're still upset, But my point is it matters. So we want guys that just want guys that they don't like to lose. Winning matters. So we want those things.
Mac, last thing, what's your advice to high school players that are just going through this process and with all these changes? What's your advice to those guys who are probably, a lot of 26s right now are panicking, they don't have offers? What would you say to those guys?
I think that if you are a good player, you probably have an offer right now as a 26. Sometimes if you want to go to the prom, you got to go with the girl that wants to go with you.
Yep.
And you could be looking at, the homecoming queen, and if she's not liking your offer, then that's okay. You still want to go to the prom, and just because you go to the prom with a girl doesn't mean you're going to marry the girl, but you still want to go to the prom. So that's kind of the way I looked at it, is that there are so many good, if I were a high school guys, where am I going to go where I'm hearing things like that's a really good coaching staff. They do a really good job.
Yeah.
They do a really good job developing guys. Their players like to play for them. Those sorts of things, do they check off those boxes? Because again, this isn't like where it was 10 years ago, where if you made a decision, you really couldn't get out of it, where the coach held all the cards. So if he wanted to treat you a certain way, and that's how it was going to be, you would be stuck in a really tough situation. You go and you want to go somewhere where you're hearing those things, so you are in an environment where you can get better. So if for whatever reason you don't like it at the end of your season, you can go and move on, but you also want to go to a place where, what, I don't know if I would want to move on. You want to be in a place where, hey, if that is a 4-year deal for me, I'm happy about it. But I also tell guys, like, players hold all the cards. They may not hold all the cards in high school because there's not as many spots, but when you hold all of them now, like if you're in an environment that you do, like you're all free agents.
Yep.
If you don't like your situation at the end of the year, you're leaving. So, I guess my point is, like, I just feel like, you'll hear things where it's like, all he has are D2 offers. Like, well, what D2 schools are you talking about?
Yeah.
Are they some of the ones that are really good? Are they schools from, like, the PSACs that are like really good D2 schools, where like if you get a Millersville offer, how many programs are better than Millersville?
Yeah.
I can't think of many. So if they're looking at you, or like, same thing, like if you have Salve Regina recruiting you in New England, that's pretty good, man. Like that's Eastern Connecticut. Like that's pretty good. Like that's a really good program that knows how to win and knows how to develop guys. Like, is that better than a small D1 that never wins, but you could put a D1 patch on your shoulder? I would argue against that.
No, Mac, thanks for doing this, man. I think this is probably the most entertaining episode we've done so far, and I think it's gonna.
Well,
a lot of people need to hear the stuff that you're saying, so really appreciate it, man.
I just want to get more views, listens. I don't know what the hell you guys call it.
Same,
George
same.
Brown. George, if you're listening, I don't care if it's 100 more. I just want one more. So I'm going to be sending this to all my family members, and I want to know in a month if I got more listeners than George Brown.
You'll know in about a week and a half for sure.
And if we're low, let me know, because I'll be spamming this. I'll be sending. I'll buy an AI robot to spam to the numbers.
You'll get a George Springer retweet, and it's
I don't care. I will find any. I'll have my wife's friends listen to get a buzz.
Just get a Nick Ahmed, George Springer, those guys. You'll be good to go.